So this is part one to however many parts it needs to be. I'm going to tell my story. If you like it, good. If you don't, then that's on you. But hopefully, and this is the only reason I keep doing this, hopefully somebody will learn something from my YouTube channel. Some life lesson, some life lesson or something, because, hopefully they can learn from me and not make the same mistakes I've made. Now, this is just going to be me talking, so if you want to tab out or, multitask or whatever it is, and do something else while you listen to my story, feel free to do so. If you just want something to listen to while you're doing something, this is it. So, this is part one. I'll start at 17, going into 11th grade, or the summer before 11th grade. Just a little precursor, I'll let you know how my lifestyle is at this point in time, or at the point in time of of my life that I'm telling you about. At this particular time, I'm 17. My birthday is March 18th, so the school let out, so it's the summertime. I just mess around on the computer, checking out MySpace. This is back in 2001, maybe 2000. Well, no, I'd say 2006 or 5. So Facebook hasn't really picked up that much. 2005, 2004, maybe. Yeah, five or six. Anyway, so checking out my MySpace, messaging my friends, having a good time. Well, this is where my innocence starts to go. And by innocence, I mean up till this point, I never questioned my parents. I was really sheltered as a child. I really was. As much as one could be with divorced parents and a mother that was an extremist hippie and smoked weed all the time and dated all these sorts of men. But I was not a witness of that after the age of 12 when she moved to Texas. But up until 12, I was pretty diverse in the wickedness of the world. After that, it kind of went on the back burners of my mind, and I became really, really sheltered as a child, or as a preteen and a teenager. I really wasn't, I really didn't know that much about the badness that was in the world, and drug abuse and rape and all that stuff. That stuff was never even in my world at all, but that doesn't mean my world was good, because I had an extreme strict father, and extremely strict. You stepped out of line once, and that was it. You would never step out of line again. But this isn't about them, so. I have 2 little brothers that was living with me, real little. They're step siblings, but I never considered them just step siblings. And I had my sister Amber that was living there. Well, so it was towards the middle of the summer. There was an upstairs where my father and 2 youngest brothers had rooms, and then downstairs where me and Amber had rooms. Well, there was 1 phone downstairs and 1 upstairs. There were the corded phones, so yeah. So there was also a computer room downstairs, which was really cool because I loved getting on my MySpace. So I would go mess around on the computer, and then one day I got a phone call, and I answered it on the downstairs phone. It was around 7:30. And it was a female voice, and I said hello, and they said, "Hey, is this Justy?" And I was like, "Yeah, who's this?" And they're like, "Oh, it doesn't matter who this is. So, what's up?" And I was, and then, so we talked for a good 2 hours, because I was like, well, at this point, I had zero luck with women. It's completely zero. Like, there was nothing at all to help me with my women problems. I pretty much gave up on dating at this point in my life. So, I was really happy. I didn't. Random chick called me and talked on the phone for a couple hours. I felt pretty good. I did. So, the next night, I was like, well, this must have been like one of my friends that was fucking around with me or something. Next night comes up, another phone call, and I was like, could this be her? Could this be her? Maybe. Maybe. Picked it up. It was. This continued for a month and a half. It got to the point where, my bedtime was 10:30. So what I would do is and this is really when I started learning that I could cheat the system. Like, not really cheat the system, but there was other ways of doing stuff than what my parents told me. Because, I'd wait till they went to bed, and then I would go upstairs, unplug the upstairs phone, go downstairs, and then I knew she'd be calling around 11 because we talked earlier that day. Well, she'd call at 11. I would pick up the phone immediately, and we would talk for a good hour or two. This went on for a while, and eventually got to the point where I was like, would you like to meet up? I would really like to meet up. And she's like, well, let me think about it. So I didn't really push it anymore. I went riding out on my bike across the street. Keep in mind, I have no idea who she is or anything, but it didn't matter because we've talked at this point for 2 hours plus a day for over a month and a half. I felt pretty cool. I felt pretty close to her. We talked a lot, and it started getting to the point where I didn't care what she looked like. She was freaking awesome, and I wanted to spend time with her. And that's truly what I believed. And so it got to the point where I would be thinking about her all day long. Like, literally, I would be waiting for her next phone call. So I went out riding my bike one day to get some fresh air. Just go across the street to the park and jump some of the, what are they called? The speed bumps. And so I get home, and a couple hours later, of course, she calls. On her, like normal at this point. I pick it up, and she's like, hey, were you at Mark Watson Park today? And I was like, yeah. She's like, yeah, I knew that was you. I saw you. And oh my God, I was like, wait, you saw me? I was like, bullcrap. One of your friends, you didn't see me. Bullcrap. She goes, no, I saw you. I swear I did. You were on a black bike, jumping the blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh my God, she did see me. I was like, why didn't you come say anything? She's like, I don't know, I got scared. And I was like, alright, that's not fair. Now, you've seen me, apparently twice at this point. And you call me every day, but you don't want to meet up. And I was like, let's just go on one date. If you don't like it, that's fine. And I could tell she had real confidence issues because she was like, well, what if you don't like me? And I told her, the one thing is I have been honest with how I felt from the beginning because I never had a reason not to be, and I never will. Because in my book, there's never a good enough reason to not be honest about anything. Honesty will get to the point, and it'll get you much farther than lying will ever get you. So I told her, I was like, look, it doesn't matter what you look like. It really doesn't, because we've talked for so long. I feel like I've really gotten to know you and all that good junk. And she was like, you're just saying that. And I wasn't just saying it, I meant it. So she eventually decided, alright, we can go on a date. So, we set a date. Finally, there was a date. And it was the next weekend. I think it was a Friday night. We were going to meet at the theaters as the 6 o'clock showing. 5 o'clock, but didn't really start till 6. And finally, there was a date. There was a date I could look at and go, after that day, I will know who she is. And that entire week went by so slow. I just kept wanting that day to get there so bad. And then the day comes, and I wake up that morning completely energized and completely, so happy. Like nothing could ever bring me down that day. Like nothing at all. I was the happiest, like literally the happiest day of the summer. So I went upstairs and I shaved, got all this fuzz off and, took a shower and got cleaned up and brushed my teeth, and just the whole day I was just working on I went and picked out my clothes and what I was going to wear, which at the time it was like the same. I've never had different style. I've always been the same style, a black top and blue jeans. There you go. So I had a black shirt and some blue jeans. I can't remember there was some stupid words on my black shirt, but I don't remember what it was, like stupid teenage shirts, but so the time came, and I felt so nervous, like I felt sick at my stomach, nervous. I was so nervous I was physically shaking from my nerves were that shot about this, because I was like, this is a make it or break it, What if I screw up? What if I mess up? What if I do something stupid? What if she never wants to see me again? And these were like real thoughts I was having. I was freaking out. I was physically shaking, broke out in a sweat, and I lived like 2 minutes away from the theaters, and it felt like the longest ride to the theaters ever, because I was panicking. I was having a panic attack. So I get there, Dad drops me off, and I'm, come on, Justy, just breathe. Everything's going to be okay. She wants to do this. You're okay, man. Everything's going to be fine. Don't worry about it. Don't worry so much. She's already agreed to go on a date with you, so she's got to like you somewhat. She knows she's seen you twice, so she knows what you look like. And I was just nervous to the point of sweating. My hands were even sweating, clammy, and I was scared. I was scared. So we agreed on a movie. What was the first movie I ever saw? I think it was Ghost Rider. The original Ghost Rider. Maybe. I forget the first movie we saw, because really, I wasn't paying attention to the movie. So, anyways, I was standing outside, not having a clue who it was I was looking for, because having no idea who it was that I was supposed to be looking for. I'm standing out there about 5 minutes. The movies are getting ready to start. They're like, the previews are just now coming on, and I'm like, damn it, she's gonna stand me up. Like, this is just my luck. This is the Ammons curse. I'm gonna get stood up after talking to this chick for a month and a half and really getting close to her. Then all of a sudden, a door opens up from the inside, and a girl walks over and grabs my hand. And she's like, are you gonna stand out here all day? And I was like, no, I was just waiting on... And I instantly could tell that was her by her voice. And I looked up, and I looked at her in her face, and she had the bluest eyes I have ever seen on a lady. And she had her hair dyed red, and she was beautiful. And I was stunned. I was literally stunned in my footsteps. I instantly went from shaking and being nervous to being, oh my god, I am on a date with a beautiful woman, like a gorgeous woman, and I freaked out. So she grabbed me by the hand, we ran inside, and we ran and got a couple of seats on the left back side, and I was freaking out really bad. And the reason I don't know what the movie was is because the whole time I was like, I cannot believe I'm on a date with a really hot chick. This is crazy. This is crazy. This is crazy. So I was on the left side and she was on the right side, and so I had my hands there, on the armrest, and she brought her hand up and she interlaced her fingers, her left hand in my right hand, and I was embarrassed as hell because I was so nervous. Like, I know my hands had to have been like sweaty, I just know it, like wet and clammy, and I was like, this is just great. Like, this is the stupidest thing ever. So, she grabbed my hands and she felt me shaking. Like, she's like, is there something wrong? Are you okay? And I was like, yeah, I'm fine. She's like, are you sure you're shaking? And I was like, no, I'm great. I promise, I'm good. She's like, all right, are you positive? And I was like, yeah, I'm fine, thanks. I promise you, I'm okay. And I'm like, I'm just nervous. And I told her I was nervous, and she's like, she got like all sympathetic, and she was like, oh, she's like, we had her hand interlaced, and she started, we started like rubbing our thumbs back and forth together, and then I started to feel a little better, started to feel a little calmer, and no, it wasn't Ghost Rider. That was not our first. I know that wasn't the first movie, because I know that was after. Anyways, so, the end of the night comes, and we're standing outside the theaters, and I'm waiting for her mother to come and pick her up before I call my dad, because I want to make sure she gets home safe before I even begin to try to get right home, because I was being a gentleman. I was raised that way. And, so we're waiting there, and I'm completely nervous, because I'm like, am I going to kiss her? Am I not going to kiss her? And she was waiting for me to kiss her. I know she was, because she had her arm, like, hand wrapped in mine, standing right beside me. And her mom's getting ready to show up, and she's like, yeah, my mom's going to be here in a second. And she leans in to hug me, and she like, pulls back out, like, this close to my face. And then I was like, this is it. Am I going to kiss her? No, I wasn't. I was too much of a pussy. I was a pansy. I was nervous, so I didn't kiss her. So she leaned back in and kissed me on the cheek. She got in her mother's car and left. And I was like, why didn't I kiss her? She wanted it. She was waiting for me to come that way, but I didn't. So, yeah. After that date, all of a sudden she disappeared off the face of the earth. She got grounded by her mother for, being a rebellion teenager. You know how that goes. You were a teenager at some point too. So she wasn't allowed to use the phone. So I went another 3 weeks without hearing from her. She's completely disappeared. So at that point, I was like, well, I got my confidence boost. And it was more than 3 weeks. It was like another month and a half, because we went on that date right at the middle of summer. So after about 2 weeks of not hearing from her, I was like, well, fuck it. She's clearly wasn't interested. After the date, she disappeared. So I had a confidence boost. I had a good date with a hot chick. That's when then I got in contact with this other chick that I was really digging at the time, and went on a date with her. And I dated her for about another I dated her for about 2 months. So at this point, school has started. I'm dating a different chick. Her name was Sierra. And me and Sierra has been dating for about 2 months. And so I'm in 11th grade. And, one day I was sitting there at breakfast. And who walks up to my table? The chick I went on a date with that summer. The one that was calling me. The one that was my stalker. And, we started talking again. Things picked back up slowly. We started texting. I had a cell phone now. We started talking all the time. We started hanging out. Well, her friends didn't like me, and my friends didn't like her. And they were really wanting to keep us apart. Like, in every step they could, they would try. And it was bad. At this point, I was working at Rose's. No, I was working at the college, at the cafeteria. And when I wasn't working at the cafeteria, I was talking with her. So Sierra and I, we just parted ways, and I was okay with that, because I had the one I went on a date with back, like talking to. And first semester goes by. It's like 2 weeks before. Actually, it was this month. It was October, the same month it is now. I remember because it was the first time I took my test, and I failed for my permit. So, took the permit test and I failed. And it was this month. So, but the same day too. So that's why I can remember. So I was going to leave school early after second period so I could go take the test. And she knew it because we would go walk around during lunch periods. She would skip class and I would be walking around during lunch period, and she would like break the rules. She would do her own thing. She was a wild spirit. She was everything I wasn't, and it drove me wild. Like, it made me crazy. I lusted and loved after her so bad, it was unreal. But while all that was going on, I maintained a gentleman's attitude and persona about it because that's how I was raised. And we will end part 1 here. Hope you enjoyed.